Hotshot fam? It's your boy Michael here, man. I'm gonna see if I can turn on this AC so y'all can hear me a little bit better. But I know it's been a long time, man. It's been a really long time. Boy's been going through a lot. The house caught on fire. Been trying to find a place to stay. We got baby number 3 on the way in about a couple weeks, and we just been moving around trying to get all this home life situated. But God is good. He's opening up some opportunities, some doors for us that we would have never thought we walked in. But like I said, God is good and we keep pushing. That's not what this video is about. This video is actually about some of the biggest mistakes I feel like people make in hotshot trucking before they get into it or while they get into it in their first year. And what I want to do is I want to help you all not make some of the same mistakes that I made, and also keep more money in your pocket when you're out here, because we've been going strong, man. Been hustling in this market that is actually not so great, and we've been able to put back money. We've been able to save. I mean, dude, if you want to be completely candid about it, I was able to save about 10 racks in the savings, on top of paying bills, on top of the rate being low, all that, in 6 months, not in a year, in about 6. A lot of people saying trucking is dead. It's about how you do it. You just can't come out here and just go willy-nilly do whatever you want. You got to be a lot more intentional about what you do in this market, and a lot more intentional about how you're saving your money, on a day-to-day basis. So, like I said, I'm stuck in traffic, so if I'm not giving you guys eye contact, that's why. But I think the first biggest mistake that people make when they get into the business is one of the biggest mistakes I made is not knowing how much it's going to cost you to run. Not knowing how much you can run. Your rate per mile is different for everybody. Like for me, we own our truck. We own our equipment. I own my truck. I own my trailer. Have been since we started. So that is that's a win in our book. Granted, my first year I went through a lot. I mean, like to the point where I was almost empty, on zero, you know what I'm saying? But the next couple years, worked itself out, and we were able to see, some fruits of our labor, after the second year we was in this business. But with that being said, me kind of running out and not knowing how much it cost for me to run my truck, not keeping in mind, the minimum I would need in order to run a load. I'm looking at the deadhead, I'm looking at the, how many miles it is. But knowing what that looks like on a grand scheme of what are your expenses, business-wise, what are your expenses, home-wise, like your home expenses, calculating all that up, breaking it down, seeing how often you're going to actually be on the road, and then breaking all those numbers down to how much, you can run the calculations and how much it's going to cost you, to run per mile while you're out here trucking, because it will be different for everybody and everybody's experience based off of how they purchase things, whether you lease your truck and your trailer, or whether you lease just your truck, whether you lease just your trailer and you own one of them, it just depends. You know what I mean? Like I said, mine's a little bit lower than most people. And that was an intentional move, so we could, a part of a ploy to, kind of survive in this market. And it has definitely, saved us, during these times. But needless to say, one of the biggest things you can actually do is what I always do. I always overestimate, how much, I really need to make, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to ever come out on the low end when it comes to, for example, fuel. Let's say fuel costs me $300 per day, you know what I'm saying? And it actually ends up being like $250 or $225 or something like that per day. I'm gonna automatically say $300, and then I'm gonna say it takes me about $300 every day to run for fuel. So that will, kind of eliminate all the fluctuation in fuel prices, and you can actually get an accurate reading, and you'll never come up short. And that's what you don't want to do. You never want to come up short in this business when you're calculating, the money. You want to be as detail oriented as possible when it comes to your numbers, and that's something that I did not do when I first got into this business, and it took me a little bit of a while to learn. I needed to be extremely detail oriented into the breakdowns of how much I'm bringing in. The second biggest mistake is not saving money on all costs on fuel. At all costs on fuel, I'm sorry. Get out here. I mean, the name of the game, the best thing you could possibly do is save money wherever you can on fuel. I mean, like, I don't care if you're at a half a tank and you could run for a little bit longer. If that fuel is cheaper in that state, and you got to run an extra 600 miles and the fuel is a whole $1 more, you better go get fuel, at that half, and fill up, from that half a tank, if you got all your tanks, all your tanks combined, because ultimately, every little bit counts. It's all gonna add up in the end, and that's what people don't see. Every little thing adds up. Their deadhead adds up, everything, and that's gonna get me to my next point. Include your deadhead miles in your rate that you tell these brokers, you know, like you hit the saying, all miles matter. It really does, because you can't say, oh, I got a $2 a mile load and your deadhead was 100 miles and you didn't calculate that into your actual, you know, price that you gave the brokers in order to negotiate. No, you need to calculate all of it, you know, as your $2 a mile, for example. You know, I'm not saying automatically ask for $2 a mile. You should definitely be asking for more, but when you're negotiating. But, you know, just giving that as an example, the main thing you want to do is say, I got like a 400-mile run and my deadhead is 30 miles. I'm actually going 430 miles. As a matter of fact, I'm going to add 20 miles onto it just in case there's a little discrepancy within the zip code, for example. So let's say you're going to calculate 450 miles. So if you want to run, say for instance, you want to tell the broker $2 a mile, and that's your, whatever you want to do, that's, what is it? Shoot, 4, 8, 9, that's $900 you need to tell them, and that is the full $2 a mile to run. That's how much you actually got on that load. You don't get $2 a mile if you're running, what did I say, 400? You're running, you say, I just want 800 for it, and then you done just deadheaded another 50 miles because you're getting under that now. You're getting like $1.90, $1.80, something like that, a cent a mile. And that's something we don't want to do, because like I said, this stuff adds up over time. When you look at it over time in the grand scheme of things, you will understand how much money you really did lose just by doing that. I mean, in a week span, you'll be able to tell on a week where you calculated your deadhead into your rate per mile versus not. In a week, you should be able to tell. Just run your numbers. Like I said, you want to be as detailed as possible when you're running your numbers. So that leads me to my next topic. When it comes to fuel cards and apps, you want to use them. Don't get out here and go to Pilots. Don't get out here and go to Loves. Do all that stuff. I mean, unless you got your little, what is it called? Your factoring company card, that has your discount set there. I mean, download Mudflap. That is a good truck diesel discount app that I specifically use. And I mean, they pretty much have discounts on fuel everywhere. And like I said, you can take your pick and choose. Every 3 hours you want to look at it and see what the fuel is like in that area. I mean, now I'm to the point now I know which states has the cheaper fuel, so I know when I get in a certain area I need to start looking for at my apps in order to get the cheapest fuel in the area. So that's another biggest thing, and that leads me to my next point. Do not, and let me repeat, do not use credit when it comes to paying for your fuel. Let me tell you why. It's not the fact that, I'm going to try to beat the system, I'm going to try to get cash back on all the fuels I get. Number one, like for example, the app I use, Mudflap, they do a 2% charge on credit cards now. You know what I'm saying? And if you got a 2% cash back card on a credit and you use that as the way that your method into paying fuel, you're just balancing yourself out. You're really not, you're balancing that out, so it's really just not even worth it. You want to use cash. And then the biggest issue with that is it will add up. You will give yourself all the excuses as to like, I need to run this load because I got to pay this bill's coming up. I'll just wait to the end of it and just get all my money I need for the bills and just pay the fuel on the back end, and boom, we'll run it like that. Don't do that. I guarantee you, take from me. I ran this system so many different ways to see what works best for me. And granted, it may work for you to do that, but the best thing for me to do, me personally, and the best suggestion I have for you, if you are starting out, you want to use your fuel cards and you want to use cash to pay for your fuel. That way it's out of sight, out of mind. You don't have to think about it no more. Because if you do use credit, like for example, there's a card out there called A to B. It's a credit fuel card basically. And every 2 weeks it's a mandatory, payment. So if you're running out and you're trying to get ready to come home, you're out of sight, out of mind about the fuel, how much it costs. You check your little app and then boom, you done racked up about $4,000 for fuel in a span of like 2 weeks, and you didn't really think twice about it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, I got the card, I paid off on the end, I'm good for it, which you are good for it in Hotshot trucking, but it doesn't work with your timing. You can't really plan how much you really are gonna spend in a 2 weeks span, and that's just my example for that card. It's really not a smart thing to do, and you will get caught in a vicious cycle of having to really get ahead of that card, and that's not something that you want to do. Like I said, I have tried it. It don't work for me. I mean, it took me way longer than I expected to actually get out of, sorry, there's like some people with their hazards on right now. Oh, there's a truck that just completely stopped. Must have gotten an accident. Hold on, y'all. the next big topic is people not actually doing their own preventative maintenance. Now, I'm gonna call y'all out. I see big trucks do it. I see Hotshots do it. Whatever you want to call it. We all trucking. We all should be pre-tripping, and we all should be post-tripping. Period. Hands down. I do it, and mine is pretty extensive. Ultimately, my message to you all is please pre-trip. The amount of things that I have caught and was able to fix myself because it didn't get out of hand, you know, and I was able to catch it, fix it on the side of the road for a couple little bucks, or shoot, maybe it was even a couple $100. You know, I was able to just fix it myself and not have to be in a catastrophic situation. For example, I had a bolt come out of my lease frame, but it didn't come out all the way. Like, it had just happened, something like that. All because I really look up under my stuff, like, almost every trip. Like, every trip I'm looking at as much as I can, you know, on my equipment. Yeah, I'm doing it quick. You know, I'm moving. You know, I'm not saying I'm just doing some super in-depth thing. But looking at your equipment is essential. You'll catch a nail in your tire. I don't know, whatever the case may be, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, when you pre and post trip, it is for a reason. It is to keep money in your pocket, especially during these times. We want to stay on top of everything. That way we can, you know, go ahead and get it out the way. That way we can keep rolling, man. Keep these wheels turning, which keeps money in our pocket. Like, it's simple things, man. People that's been in the game for like 3 months or 3 years, talking about they just done changed their oil in their truck for the first time. Like, they didn't take it to the dealership. I've seen that before. I'm like, yo, you're not changing your own oil? Like, the amount of money that you spend at a dealership for an oil change, or at a wherever you can get one, Jiffy Lube or something. I don't even know if they do dualies, you know, but for you non-CDL guys, you know, maybe they'll do the, you know, straight trucks. Still, that's something that you should be doing yourself. Go to Walmart, get your little 3 things of oil, 3 gallons. Well, my truck takes 3 gallons, and go ahead and get that. Well, 3.5 really, but go ahead and get that. Spend your butt, what, $100, something like that. Get your own fuel filters, your oil filters, everything that you need, all for under $300. Do it yourself. Yeah, it take you some time, but it's gonna prevent like a $600 bill or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Taking it to the dealership. You can go ahead and keep that money in your pocket, because guess what? We have to do these things. If you're hotshotting as much as I am, like I said, I run. You know, if I'm not at home dealing with something, I'm out working. You know, and that's the way we're running it lately. As long as I don't got nothing to deal with at home, you know, I'm out working. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's local, whether it's OTR, I started to switch up lately. It just depends on, like I said, what I got going on at home. I got 3 kids, a wife at home. She's pregnant. At this stage in the game, I don't know if you guys know, you know, my particular story, but right now I'm the only person, you know, bringing in anything, you know, on my end as far as cash is concerned. My wife is taking care of everything at home for me, and that's the way our teamwork works. She can handle all that stuff. I handle all this stuff. You know, that's just the way it's working for us. You know, so within that, the biggest thing you can do to keep money in your pocket, that way you can be home and maybe spend that extra $300 on something else. You know, whether you have kids, you have a family, you need some extra diapers, you need some extra groceries, who knows? Life happens. You know, you see what happened to me. We had a whole fire. I mean, we had mad money. You know what I'm saying, right now, just because of that particular emergency situation. So $300 every, how often do you change your oil? Probably like twice a month. If you're running as much as I do, like, that's $300 every or extra $300 or extra $600 you probably could have kept in your pocket, you know, every month. I'm not saying, I'm just using that as a number. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know how much the dealership charges for oil change, fuel filters, and whatever you got. If you got to do your transmission fluid, you know, I do all that. You know what I'm saying? All of it. It will go a long way over the course of a year. Like, even if you don't know how to do it, like YouTube. That's all I gotta say. YouTube everything. Get yourself a YouTube education. There's plenty of sources out here. There's only so many dualies out here. And especially if you kind of have an older one like I do, there's endless YouTube videos on how to fix something yourself. I mean, I use YouTube for about everything. I done learned so much from YouTube. I mean, I probably got a master's degree on 6.0 power. Even if you don't know your way around the rich, you better find out. Because I guarantee you will be on the side of a road for some reason, whatever the case that may be, and you're gonna have to fix something. So you need to get real accustomed to, you know, working with your hands and fixing stuff yourself. You're gonna have to pay a tow bill that's gonna cost you a minimum of $300 to go somewhere. If you're in a hot shot, if you're in a semi, the junk is way more expensive. You know what I'm saying? you can rack up easily $1,000 on a tow bill just to take it to a shop, just to change out this one little part. I'm gonna tell you something I even had to do. I didn't share it on the YouTube video, but my heater core valve for my truck, it split the hose in half just because the truck's so darn old. So what did I do? I got me a Uber. Well, it was late that evening. I parked my truck on the side of the road. I figured out what my problem was. YouTube and, you know, the help with some family, you know, just everybody's putting their heads together. You know, 2 heads is better than 1. If y'all follow the channel, you know the OG, you know, he had helped me out trying to find some of that stuff, and my wife, shout out to my wife. So, needless to say, after that, after we figured out what was going on wrong with the truck, guess what? I looked up the nearest AutoZone. Once I found the part, I took me an Uber, went up to the AutoZone. Uber cost me $27 to go over there and come back. Got the Uber, got the part, got me some extra, you know, hoses and stuff just in case, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you never know if you're gonna break something. So if you know what generally is in that area, get you the stuff that's around the area that you need to fix that just in case, you know what I'm saying? And I brought all that stuff back to the truck and I fixed it that night. And because I fixed it myself, I didn't save myself a tow bill. I saved myself, you know, a Ford part that's probably gonna cost me an arm and a leg, you know, and time, because I dropped that. I was still able to drop my load on time. And I ended up getting me a hotel, you know, just because I got it taken care of and I couldn't find a truck stop. I was in Florida at the time, actually, yeah. So I ended up having to get me a hotel because it was like 10 o'clock at night, something like that. And I already knew, you already know, Florida does not have the most parking, except if you're in the rest areas when you first come in. Florida don't have parkings at the regular truck stops after a certain time, so you might as well get that up. So I went ahead and got me a hotel, showered, because it was hot as all get out, because this happened in the summer. But needless to say, I know my way around the wrench. If I'm able to, if I can look it up and find it on YouTube, I will fix it myself, because it's gonna save you time. I mean, it's gonna save you time, it's gonna save you money. But now, the worst thing you could possibly do in trucking is scale too fast. There are certain people out there that have done it, and they're out of business now. I'm not gonna name them names. I'm not saying that particularly was the case, but if you scale too fast in this business, thinking that you just gonna hire a bunch of drivers, blah 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 blah, they're gonna rake in the cash, or you gonna make some money, you know, the odds of that being truly successful is not high enough for you to, you know, actually have that as a business model in this market. So do your best to learn the business first when you get in here, and once you learn it, scale up slowly. Get you one driver after maybe like a year or two. Get you maybe another one, another 2. But you don't want to scale up too fast, because anything's liable to happen. Anything's liable to happen with the truck, your equipment that you're giving your drivers. I mean, anything's liable to happen. You can find yourself in a pickle real quick when stuff starts to break down, rate starts not to come in. I mean, you got major truck companies going out of business. You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily, you know, it just depends. Everything is different for everybody. You know, timing is different for everybody. So you have to really make sure it's the right time for you to scale, you know, within your particular business model. But other than that, man, that's all I got. That's my 2 cents. And those are some of the biggest mistakes I feel like people make when getting into this business. I really hope and pray that you take heed to my warnings and, you know, try to avoid some of these things. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna get to my drive. Like I said, I'm in traffic, and Hotshot with me out, man. I gotta turn this AC back on because I turned it off because y'all was talking to you all. But anyway, Hotshot with me out, man. Y'all stay tuned, stay blessed. Peace.